Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Centigrator. This is going to be an interesting sequence in that we're going to look at three different Polysix units, and each of them has the same story. Molten battery destroyed the main board, and then of course the owner said, oh, this is junk, and then it spent another decade and a half or whatever rotting in a shed kind of thing. And this is your standard caliber Polysix that you're going to find. Now this one behind me looks pretty cool. This is what I'm going to call the Gamma Polysix. We're going to call them Gamma, Alpha, and Beta. Alpha, Beta, and Gamma. Alpha being the nicest one, Beta being the mid-grade guy, and Gamma being the worst. This is Gamma. It's in terrible shape. And the reason I tell you it's in terrible shape is because, in fact, nothing inside it. And the reason there's nothing inside it is because it's been completely dismembered. I've already taken it apart, cleaned all of the pieces as best I can. This one was so badly gone that in fact it needed to be completely dismembered. So here's the key bed. Look, see, nothing's actually connected together. I only put it together just to sort of show you that it was in fact a complete Polysix once upon a time. Here's the key bed. This needs to be dismembered and cleaned, but I'm looking at it, and while it looks dirty, it doesn't look too bad. Just put this aside over here. Further along, Bender unit. Nothing more to be said there. These are panel boards. They're a little bit dusty, but there's certainly nothing wrong with them. Power supply board here, another panel board in behind. But let's have a look at the circuit boards. Now, here we got the main voice board. Main voice board looks okay. A little bit dusty, but you know, nothing too outrageous. And that's to be expected. Properly cared for in that nobody let hamsters live in there. And this is the chorus board. This is basically where the famed analog chorus sound comes from. These are actually pretty nice effects in their own right. Vintage sound. But now I'm going to show you this. This is the Gamma main board. This is the KLM 367A, which is of course the one in which the battery melts and kills everything. This one was an example of when I got this unit, not only of the battery melted and burned out traces, but there had been a bunch of hack attempts to follow the old Crow's online instructions to fix it, which I then, I had to basically proceed and take those mods off, clear the tracks. I don't know if you see really closely here, but I've actually removed traces entirely off of this, cut them out, basically, and put baking soda around the board in order to neutralize the acid. See, the problem is, it's not just a matter of replacing this bad battery and then fixing some traces. That battery has spilled toxic sludge on this board, and it corrupts everything. And even if you remove the battery and you fix the traces, there's still that residual acid in all of these leads eating away. It's like it's a terminal case, even if you manage to bring it back. Oh, I know what you're probably thinking. Where are the connectors? Well, I had to Dremel this piece off in order to get this connector off, but I desoldered all the other ones, and the reason that I had to do that, and you'll see the CPU is missing, and the reason that I had to do that has to do with the replacement board that's going to go in. Gamma, for whatever it's worth, its circuit board is going to be replaced by something from Old Crow, and as a matter of fact, I might as well tell you right now, I've got it in right now. Came in today. And this is really cool when you think about it. Old Crow, the Old Crow Synth Shop. This is the guy who literally wrote the book, if you will, or the web page, on how to resuscitate a dead board. He teaches you all the trace tricks and all that sort of thing. Well, what he's gone and done is he has created his own replacement PCB. And this is it right now. This is a brand new replacement PCB, and I'm going to point out to you very closely, I don't know if you can see this really closely, but it actually says on the trace, let's see, can we see that? You should be able to read that right now. It says KLM 367A clone by the Old Crow. Right there. So this is actually not the HyperJed Andrew Jury board. This is another PCB remake done by Old Crow himself. And now, what he has you do is he has you send him your old board, or you send him the connectors from your old board and the CPU, and then he does everything else. That's the really cool part about the Old Crow's service. If you buy the replacement PCB from him, and right now his price is $150. I think that's really low for what you're getting. But $150 gets you a new PCB with new parts already assembled. And here's the good part: he'll put your connectors from your old board on it. He'll put your CPU in, and then he'll test it. He actually does a burn-in test to make sure it works as a functional board before sending it back to you. So this is really a drop-in replacement, and it should just restore an otherwise functional Polysix with a dead main board. It should restore it to full operation. For a Polysix, that is, all the things that a Polysix can do. There's no MIDI and there's a bunch of limitations in it, but I mean, this would get you back a 1982 era functional Polysix. So this is option number one for resuscitating it, and it's probably not going to go in the Gamma board, even though I use the Gamma board's connectors, simply because I have another Polysix that I'll show you in a little bit in the next video in the sequence, which is going to be beta. We'll have a look at beta, and then we'll have a look at alpha. And we'll also talk about the other alternatives for fixing your PCB and replacing it and getting it going. So stay tuned, because this is going to be an interesting sequence. There's going to be a lot of work involved. I'm going to be doing a lot of different things. And it's probably going to take a long time for the whole sequence to spool its way through from beginning to end, because I tend to do this work sort of on the spare time. This is not my day job, if you know what I mean. But anyway, all that said, we'll be back soon, and this should be a lot of fun.